You're posting on social media consistently, but it doesn't seem to be driving any leads into your funnel. To activate sales from your social media and from your marketing, you have to understand how to speak to each of the buyer types that's following you. So what are buyer types? Today, we are going to be breaking down the 4 buyer types and how to sell and market to them so that you can increase your sales conversion. You guys, I am so excited about today's episode. One, because Kenda is on the show and she is my new business coach. I'm really excited for you guys to get to know a little bit about Kenda, why I chose her as a mentor for this year, and to learn from her about the buyer types, which is such a strong piece of what she teaches. So Kenda, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Before we get in, can you kind of tell everybody a little bit about you and maybe how you got into starting Laney Media?
So it's kind of a whirlwind of a story, and I can't even imagine that this is where we're at, but it honestly all started because I was diagnosed with cancer as a child. I had my right eye removed, so I have a prosthetic eye. And because of that, my parents enrolled me in therapeutic horseback riding. I had somebody in that industry that's incredibly well known. She's very talented in the barrel racing space. And she just kind of took me under her wing as a mentor. And in high school, I ended up just as a favor to her doing social media management. It was like, you're young, you understand social media. Like, what can you do? I ended up just being naturally really good at it. We grew her Instagram from 10,000 to 300,000 followers within a year and a half. I obviously graduated high school, went to college. I changed my degree to software engineering, and I started building websites for people. And it just kind of came full circle that those people I was building websites for then needed help driving traffic back to those websites. And so it came full circle back to social media management. That is when we launched kind of the consulting side of the business that is what it is now.
That is such an insane story. I'm obsessed with the way that you break everything down analytically. And one of the reasons I really wanted to have you on the show is because ads are not popular in the wedding industry. I know they're not popular for you at all. And so you are so passionate about driving traffic through organic channels like Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest, which are also the core channels for wedding pros.
Exactly. And like you said, I am very against ads because unless you're doing over $1 million a month, you shouldn't be anywhere near an ad. It's so unnecessary when you can reach the exact same amount of people, if not more, completely organically. Like you said, I found you on TikTok, I jumped in. You wouldn't have done that if we'd served you an ad.
So I'm still teetering with this whole scenario of ads, no ads. Either way, I'm obsessed with the way Kenda teaches organic social media. But for today, we are talking about the 4 buyer types. Are you ready to get into this, Kenda?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay, cool. Okay, so first, can you tell us what the 4 buyer types are? And then can we go back and kind of break down each one?
Yes, there's 4 buyer types and you can kind of break them half and half. So
Okay.
You have your more assertive buyer types, and those are your driver and analytical buyers. And then you've got your more emotional buyer types, which are your amiable and expressive buyers. So every single type of person cares about different things. So when you have that understanding and you know exactly what to say to each of those types of buyers, it makes your sales so seamless and easy.
So can we kind of start at the beginning? So driver would be the first one, right? And can you tell us a little bit about that buyer type?
So driver buyers are very outcome driven.
Okay.
What is this going to do for me? And if I believe that it's going to give me that result, I'm all in immediately. Take my money. Here's my credit card. Driver buyers also look for things that can kind of give them a competitive edge. They're very competitive. And then your other kind of assertive buyer type is your analytical buyer.
Okay.
And this is what my husband is.
Yes,
and
my husband too. It's a battle all the time. I'm like, what are we still talking about?
Exactly. But our analytical buyers, they want to see all of the data. They need time to consume all of the information and think about it. They are the one buyer type that, like, if you try to pressure close them on a sales call, they're going to run so far so fast. They will not buy from you.
Okay, I want to relate that a little bit back to like a wedding sale, right? Hey there, CEO. If you're loving this video and you want to know more about how I help wedding pros double and even triple their revenue, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you never miss another video full of strategy to help you build your profitable business. I am very, very much a strong closer when it comes to closing a wedding. I'm just like, either you want it or you don't, like, period, end of conversation. Do you want to work with me or no? But with an analytical buyer, what are some of the things that you could be looking for when you're talking to them in a sales call?
So you can tell 100% from their questions that they're asking you.
Okay.
They're going to be more so specific details. So they want to know exactly the price. What are you factoring into that price? And they tend to be a little bit more reserved and formal. They just want the information. They don't want me to like explain how great I am.
Yes.
And that really
I always
throws
get so
people off.
defeated by analytical buyers. I'm like, what do you want me to say anymore?
Let me give you like the magic phrase.
Okay.
Is I trust you and I trust your process. That pulling that pressure off where they're like, okay, she respects that I need to think about this. And if you say that when everyone else is trying to like push them into a deposit, you're going to get that sale.
Yes. How you explained it and saying trust the process. I trust your process. I love that. That's such a good statement. So let's talk about the other two buyer types.
Okay, so you've got your more emotional buyer types.
Okay.
These are your expressive and your amiable buyers. So when I say expressive, I want you to think exclusive. Expressive buyers really long for community and they really care a lot about the client experience. And so how you make them feel is going to matter more than getting the best price.
Yes. Do you think it's possible that people would have different buyer types depending on what they're buying?
I'm really glad that you brought that up. I liken the 4 buyer types to, if you're familiar with the 5 love languages.
Yes.
Everyone has kind of a dominant love language, right? With those different love languages, if you only had one, it's not going to be a very fulfilling relationship, right? So it's the same thing with the buyer types. We generally will have a dominant buyer type, but if we only are selling to that buyer type and not hitting home to any of the other elements, it's not going to be a very fulfilling relationship. And so that's why we teach to create content to all of the buyer types so that you're creating a well-rounded experience for every buyer while still hitting home to the things that are most important to them.
Yes, that's so good. Okay, and I love that you compared it to the love languages. It really makes sense how you're describing all of this. Okay, so the last buyer type is amiable, right? Okay.
Yes. So our amiable buyers, they care a lot about how it's going to affect the people around them. They tend to be people pleasers. Most of their questions are going to be geared towards not even themselves, but other people.
As a planner, I almost see it come out a lot when we then have to purchase all the vendors, right? Or when we have to secure all the vendors. I'm like, they're the perfect one for you. Trust me on this. Like, let's just check out already. What are we holding up? But
yeah, and they're the ones that are going to be like, well, I don't know if my mother-in-law is going to like this.
100%.
Like,
yes.
That's your amiable.
Yes, and they need everyone's opinion before they can say yes to anything. Okay, so you had mentioned that we should speak to all of these buyer types in our content. What does it look like to make sure you're touching on all those different buyer types?
Content creation is the exact same process that you would take someone through on a sales call. We've got problem-aware content, agitational content, and solution lens content. Your problem-aware content is where you are connecting like what they're experiencing to what the actual problem is. Your agitational content speaks to the mistakes that people are making and or the myths with your industry. And then you've got your solution, which is exactly like it sounds. You're speaking to the results that you've provided for your clients, and then you're connecting with what the desires are that they have.
I'm so excited to get feedback from this episode. Kenda, thank you so much for being here. This was awesome and I love it so much.
Of course, thanks for having me.
If this video was helpful, make sure to check out the videos in the description below to get more strategy on how you can start paying yourself a salary and build that profitable wedding business that you've always dreamed of.